if you haven't dabbled in AI, I highly encourage you to start messing with it, and dive deep. And there is, you can get garbage, but I've noticed that a lot of times the garbage is based on the input.
You're watching Marketing Misfits with Norm Farrar and Kevin King.
Hey, a couple of misfits coming back at you here with the Marketing Misfits podcast. Look at these misfits. If you're watching this on YouTube, you can see the misfits. There's one that's got a beard, kind of looks like one of the guys from ZZ Top. And then another one that's a bald head and a little shiny on top with some glasses on. If you haven't watched this on YouTube, what are you waiting for? You got to come see or say hello. We're waving at you right now. See?
There we go.
Waving at you. Or maybe you're watching this on YouTube. You got to check it out on the audio on podcast too. You know, we have a podcast version of this. It's on all the top players, Apple, Spotify. I don't know what all the players are, but wherever you may listen to podcasts, check out Marketing Misfits there too. And you can take it with you in the car while you're working out, to the gym, on a trip when you don't want to talk to your spouse. You can just blast us full blast so you can't hear what they're saying or what the kids in the back are complaining about, and just listen to the Misfits. Norm, how are you doing, man?
I am doing good. And by the way, if you can't find us, at least for me anyways, ZZ Top was a compliment. Okay, Kev? Because usually I'll get it from you that I'm the Travelocity gnome or, something along those lines. Santa Claus, yeah, okay, no problem. But I get used to these things.
Well,
ZZ Top is okay.
Your beard looks one way on camera, but when you see it in person and you watch it, when you go and you visit Norm, I went and visited his house a few weeks ago, and we were doing some business and some brainstorming, and to watch him eat with the beard, especially mac and cheese and ketchup, and that, afterwards, I just want to take a comb to that beard and get the little goo out. No, I'm just kidding.
Those are small children. Don't call them goo.
Norman's actually a very professional beard eater. He could win the beard eating competition.
There we
go. How do you manage to do that, Norm? Does that take practice?
It does. You'll notice if I eat soup, it'll be like this.
That's right. That's the way you did eat the pho.
Yeah.
That's
and
right.
The only thing, Connie will bug me. Connie's my wife. She'll sometimes tell me I have small children hanging in my beard, so I got to get them out of there. They like to play in there once in a while. But sometimes you get caught. You'll have something in your beard and you'll walk around at a business meeting and somebody will just kind of point it out. And those are the nice people that point it out.
Yeah, there's somebody that we both know very well that was pretty big time in the Amazon space a few years ago. They've exited now, but this person was anal about their teeth, and they would actually probably brush their teeth 7-8 times a day. So they're constantly worried that there's something stuck in their teeth and they're going to be having a conversation, and here's a little piece of food stuck somewhere. So they always had floss on them, always be running to the bathroom to make sure. Used to give him a hard time as well about that. But yeah, that's a problem. I mean, I have the same issue. Sometimes, my food just ends up on the floor. And it's like, oops, there's one for the dog.
Yep, exactly. That's why we have dogs.
But some people, they don't really discipline their dog. So their dog, when the humans are eating, they'll come and be at the bottom of the table or begging or whatever. And my parents never properly trained their dog. So it always comes and kind of begs for human food when they're eating. And they'll usually throw something at it and they just call it the dog tax. I'm like, well, you're teaching them some bad habits, but okay.
You know what, Kevin? That's like people who don't understand marketing or business. They'll throw it against the wall. If it doesn't work, well, that's just especially in Amazon, that's your Amazon tax. You throw so much money away because you don't know what you're doing or you're not properly trained and you're just throwing your money away.
One of the things that's helping me actually not throw money away right now and actually making me more productive. We had a guest on, I'm not sure exactly when this one's airing, but one of the guests was talking about she wrote a book, The One Person $1 Million Business. And
that was great.
To her, Elaine's her name. So if you haven't heard that podcast, go back and check it out, or maybe this one's coming out before that one. It'll be coming soon. But we're talking about that, and there's something that's really impacting a lot of us right now, and that's AI. And so how one person businesses, you might, like she said, you might be the main person. You you just her definition was one person business doesn't have employees, so there's no payroll other than maybe yourself, but you still could have contractors. So you might be using a Fiverr person, or you might be using someone on Upwork, or maybe you're using a VA, but they're not technically a payroll. So that was kind of her definition of it, and that was, it was interesting though to talk about. And we asked her. You can go listen to that episode to hear all the details about AI. And I know you and I are using AI quite a bit in our business, and we just, you and I have a big project that we'll be really announcing soon that we've been working on for a while. And just a few weeks ago, like I was saying, I flew up to your house north of Toronto, up there on the lake. Nice house and great dog,
cigars.
and had some cigars. And wife was making all kinds of stuff for us and keeping us well fed and hydrated. Connie, thank you. And it, we powwowed, And so one of the things that I told Nora was like, you know what, I do these a lot. I'll sit with my other business partners like Mark and another business and some other people, and we'll take some notes on a piece of paper and of some things to do. But when you're having these brainstorming sessions, and we were going for 7-8 hours at a time, like take 5 minutes to get up and pee occasionally, and we weren't like at a table uncomfortable. We weren't like sitting there facing each other, at a conference table. We were like lounging. Like I think I was lounging on the couch.
You were lying down on the couch.
You were lying down on the couch, not even facing you. And we're just throwing out ideas and talking through things. And you lose some things in there,
right.
And as you're writing notes, you lose things, or you get in the discussion, you forget to write something down, or you don't write everything down.
Information overload, that happens too.
But there's something that I had heard about that we had never used, and I brought it up, and actually literally the night before, sitting there on your couch, just chilling, we set the thing up and did a couple of tests with the TV talking, and it's called the Plaud, Plaud. And this device, you can go in the show notes, and we'll give the URL for it. And I think there's even maybe a discount down in the show notes. But it's like less than $150 US. I think it might be 139, 149. And it comes with like 300 minutes built in, and then you can buy additional minutes. I think I bought 5,000 minutes
dirt
for
cheap,
$70 or something, $79 or something. Like 10,000 minutes is cheap. But this thing will record, so you can attach it to the back of your phone, and it'll record phone calls. So if you're on a long conference call, it'll record the phone calls from the back of your phone using whatever technology it's using, near field or something. And then also you can just set it on the table, and that's what we did. We just threw it on your coffee table. It's 5 feet from each of us.
But it's a credit card size.
Yeah,
it's
the size of and the thickness and weight of a credit card. And you just set it down, and then you hit record. And there's two options. One's record phone calls, or you flip a switch if you're just recording live. And we just let that thing roll. And I would stop it every 2 hours just to make sure that there wasn't some hiccup and we lost the whole recording, and save it. So it broke it up into a few parts. But it was, once you record it, it'll make a transcript. That's no big deal. You can do that anywhere. But it also has these options for like meeting notes, I think presentation, mind map. There's several different options in there. And you just hit that button, and within 5 minutes, you have a very thorough outlined summary of what you just talked about with a to-do list. And if you specifically say something, like when you're talking, we started to kind of catch on to this later. It's like, Norm's like, okay, I'm going to take care of opening this bank account or whatever. And so it would flag that. Okay, Kevin just said Norm is going to take care of this, opening this bank account. So it put that in Norm's to-do list, for example. And it'll do things like that if you say it. You got to kind of say it. And it'll do all that. And it was amazing what it could do. And then like on this, going down the rabbit hole where, when you come back and you add that little nugget 2 hours later about some newsletter thing you thought, it combined it all together and put it in the right place and like added it or changed something. It was amazing what these tools can do now. So I'm going to start using that. We're going to be using it at my Market Masters think tank in Austin for the people that we don't allow recording on any phones, or there's no video recording in that. But if someone wants that as an option, I'm going to sit one down in the middle of the table and just give it just to them for their business, and then probably start using it at can you imagine if I had that in at the $1 billion Seller Summit? We do these masterminds where breakout sessions. Imagine if I had a Plaid sitting in the middle of that table. We used to do this with a tape recorder, and we put it in the middle of the table. The audio wasn't so great, and then we had to actually, back in that day, manually transcribe it or pay a bunch of money to some service to do it, and that's what we had. But now I can stick a Plaid down, and 10 minutes after that session ends at night, like we did in Hawaii, I'm emailing everybody in that room. Here's the summary of everything that was just talked about. How freaking cool is that?
Yeah,
You're
and
not
it's
waiting.
formatted perfectly.
At it and you're like, here's what you missed, or here's what was discussed. You're like, implement now.
The other thing, when you're going to, let's say you're going to your event, you've got all these speakers out there. One of the big hangups a lot of people have when they do this, when they're taking notes, and I'm one of these note takers. One thing I've learned is that you can write notes, but you have actions points. So you might have 1, 2, 3 action steps that you want to achieve for that day. And instead of trying to look through your notes, I always, when something comes up, I'll highlight it and action point, next first one. Then when I go back to the room, I'll try to get at least one of those 3 done every day. Well, here's something you could do with this Plaid thing. When somebody's talking on stage, you could either write it down or you could just say action point, and you've got action point 1, action point 2, action point 3. Then you could just say, list the 3 action points. Then it'll summarize that. And we never did it. I'm just thinking about it right now. And there's other ones on the market, but this is definitely, when you came over and was showing it, I think it was probably one of the best AI tools that I've seen. And afterwards you sent me over all the notes. I've got them. I threw them into Mac Notes, and now I have reference for all of this. It's fantastic.
I mean, that's just one example of AI.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of people are worried AI is going to be taking jobs and AI is going to be putting us out of business, and it's going to happen. It is going to. I can see it with PPC agencies where AI is going to start. It's just going to be better than a human, doing it more consistent and better. And so you're going to have a PPC agency now that might have 20 employees that are managing all these different accounts, and that's going to cut to 2 or 3, and they're going to be overseeing AIs. And so there is going to be some changes like that, but also, I mean, AI right now, it's an invaluable tool for me in my businesses. I mean, I don't depend on it. It's not doing, and none of my stuff is it doing 100%. But just another quick example is, with my newsletter, $1 Billion Sellers. The newsletter comes out, and I was just at the Driven conference, and they're talking about, newsletters are a major thing right now, and that's something that you and I are going to be helping a lot of people with soon. So if you're thinking about doing a newsletter and want to launch one, watch this podcast or keep an eye on what Norm and I announce soon. But these newsletters, not everybody can read it. Or they might start reading it and they go down a rabbit hole, or the phone rings, or the wife comes in or something, and they don't finish reading it. But what if you could take the newsletter and listen to it as
in your own voice?
Yeah, just like the NPR. And so me reading it, so it's still personalized. It's not some robot reading. I mean, you could have a robot reading it, but it's me reading it. So what we've done on my newsletter is I've taken where it went into podcasts just like this. And it was actually the AMPM podcast. They grabbed a bunch of me talking, created a voice profile of me, and then now the newsletter gets fed in to an AI system, and it's transcribed and then read in my voice. And then there's a little bit of fine tuning that goes on. A human at the end does a little bit, about 10% of the work, but it's 90% of the work is all automated. And now I've got a brilliant podcast that's my newsletter. So I put that out on the podcast platforms, and you can find it, so there'll be people that have no clue I have a newsletter, but they're searching for Amazon topics or something, or digital DTC topics or AI topics, whatever, on a podcast platform or even on YouTube. And here it is. And they go, oh, I didn't know I had a newsletter. Let me go sign up for the newsletter. And I'll keep a few things back that are only in the newsletter, so that you're motivated to sign up for the newsletter too. But I sent this out to 3 or 4 people. You saw it, a prototype of it. You didn't see the final one, but it's a little rough. We made some changes. But I sent it out to a couple other people, friends, and they were all like, "What did this? How'd you do this? This is so freaking cool. I would definitely listen to this." And so that's another cool thing that you can be doing with your content. And we're doing it for this podcast. I mean, Marketing Misfits is audio and video. So you're listening to this, and sometimes, we go for an hour and 10 minutes. And we know, we can see in the stats where people drop off. They watch for 15 minutes. And oh, by the way, if you're watching right now, you actually need to subscribe to this newsletter. Because make sure you hit that subscribe button. Make sure, if you're watching on YouTube, hit the subscribe to the channel so you never miss an episode. If you're listening on a favorite podcast program, make sure you add us to your regular downloads and hit that automatic download. So the next time you're on an airplane, you got us already there. You don't have to wait for it to download, competing against everybody else on a crappy Wi-Fi on the airplane.
My son tells me to ring a bell, so do that.
Ring
that bell.
Ring a bell. And comments. Make sure that's how you'll help us grow. If you got some comments or something about the newsletter, please let us know. But we were trying to
share and repost.
Yeah, share and repost. If you see any of our little snippets that we do on TikTok or YouTube Shorts or Facebook, feel free to repost those or comment on those and help us out. Help us grow this newsletter, because it's going to help us grow. We have some stuff coming with the community around it. It's going to help us all out. But on the same note, we're taking the newsletter, because maybe you don't have an hour to listen to everything. You would love to, but we're turning we're taking the podcast, not the news. We're taking the podcast, because maybe you don't have an hour to listen to everything, and turning that into a newsletter. So we're using an AI tool that's going to we'll listen to this transcript, we'll pull out the important stuff, and there's a little massaging that goes on, but a little bit of human massaging, so it's not 100% automated, and it will be a newsletter. So you can read it in 5 minutes, or you can okay, here's what everything they talked about. It's better than the little show note descriptions that you get on the bottom. This looks interesting. You'll hit a button, and it'll take you right to minute 42 and 7 seconds, where Norm and I are talking to Elaine about this or whatever it is, and you can listen to just that little segment. It's going to be really, really cool. So that's another example of just AI. How are you using AI in your some of your businesses?
Well, let's just take that for example. So if you take that audio, or if you take this podcast, we can create a blog article out of it. Now, we don't want to just put a transcript into a blog article. You could, but to get the best out of it, you would take this, get it to summarize. So get AI to summarize it. And then you'd go out and do your research, and you can create not only a blog article, a really well-written SEO, like just a great blog article for your site. And you could put things in like the repurposed or the full podcast or the audio right into that blog article. So driving even more traffic. One other thing that we do a lot of, and we're going to be doing a lot more of this in the Marketing Misfits, is content, little snippets, going out there to different social media outlets and just taking original content and just chopping it up, putting it out there. I think some people don't want to, a lot of people don't want to listen to an hour-long podcast, but they will listen to different segments, 10 minutes long, 5 minutes long, or even 30 seconds long if it's a good little nugget. So those are some other things. Takes a bit of work, but when you refine AI and the tools that you use for this, it's super simple.
Yeah, there's a lot of cool tools that will take it. Some are, like you said, better than others, but some will find those really good points. And you can even take the podcast stuff and the behind the scenes data, some of these tools, and see where the highest engagement is, or the highest where the browser's forward on a podcast that someone's watching on YouTube, and it'll pick out that must be more important. It caught somebody's attention. They're paying more attention. It'll do all kinds of stuff like that. But there's a big trend right now towards micro content, so less than 10 minutes. A lot of people don't want to spend 6 hours going through a course, but they'll digest little 10-minute things. So like Norm said, Marketing Misfits and Dragonfish, two of our things that you're going to see a lot of that coming out from us, from some of the top experts in the business. And that's AI is going to assist in that. There's still a human involved that oversees it, make sure it didn't mess it up. But that's another cool example there. And like you're talking about on the SEO, There's tools like Jasper, which was one of the original people to have an API backdoor to like ChatGPT 1 or 1.5.
Phrase.io.
And there's also some tools that are made for SEO that you take the transcript and you say, these are the 20 keywords I really need to rank for. Emphasize all the content around these phrases or these keywords, and it will rewrite your transcript, emphasizing that and placing them in the right place, putting the right H1 or H2 tags or whatever, do all the stuff that you want, and create SEO. Now, I don't know how much longer, honestly. I'm a little pessimistic on SEO right now, because I think AI is going to pretty much shatter a lot of the SEO stuff. You're still going to need to do it, but I think it's a $91 billion business that's in trouble. But we'll see what happens with the AI stuff around that. But still, that's still a good strategy as of right now to be doing that. And you just may have to modify it later. But even in, I use three main AI writing tools. I don't know what you use, Norm. I use Perplexity because it can go out, Perplexity.AI. Apple's a big investor, several other, but it can go out to the internet, so it can get real-time data. I use Claude, and I use ChatGPT or OpenAI, whichever you want to call it. And those are the three main ones I use. I don't use Llama from Facebook, and I don't use
Copy.
I don't use Google's Gemini or whatever it's called now. I just, but those three, and a lot of times what I'll do is I will write something. I'll write a prompt, and I'll put it in all three of them, and each one of them will spit out something usually different with the exact same prompt. And I'll look at, like, one of them is usually, it varies which one's better. Sometimes Claude's light years above the others. Sometimes ChatGPT is. And then I'll take them, and then I'll take the best parts out of those three. And like, oh, I like the way this first paragraph is here in Claude. I like the way the second paragraph is here in ChatGPT. And the headline that Perplexity did is killer. I'll put all those together in a notes document or an Amazon text, BB Edit or whatever on my Mac, and combine it. And then I might go in and tweak it a little bit. I don't like the way it said this word, said this one word 7 times, and then we take that out. And then I'll put it back in to all three of them again and say, give it another prompt to rewrite this with whatever kind of tone I want or voice or whatever. And I get some pretty amazing results by doing that. So that's I use that sometimes for my newsletter. I use it sometimes for marketing emails. I use it sometimes just to get ideas. I'll even use Perplexity, like on the newsletter, if I need a graph of something. I'm writing a story about I don't know, UPS stores and being overwhelmed by Amazon return packages. I need a graph. I could go write a prompt in Dolly or Midjourney or something and create a cool little graph like you guys do for Lunch with Norm with yourself. Or I can just type in, give me a 5-minute Perplexity, show me 10 charts of UPS return volume, how this is impacting a UPS store, and how the volume was 5 years ago versus now with the 1-year segments. And it'll go out and it'll find some graph that was in Shipping Logistics magazine or something and spit that out. I can grab that and can use that and reference it in my newsletter and reference it back to them. And it's a great tool for that versus going on Google and trying to find this stuff. It'll spit a whole bunch of them. So there's all kinds of cool stuff you can do there.
Yeah. One of the other tools out there, apps, I don't know if you've ever tried it. It's Koala. And it's an incredible writing app. You go in and you buy the words. I think I just bought 2 million words or something, but you can use it and then you can compare it. The other one, we just mentioned it, phrase.io, overlooked. I don't know, a bunch of smart guys that developed it. I don't know how well their marketing is, but it's probably one of the best tools out there. One of the big differences between phrase.io and everything else, and Phrase, by the way, is FRASE.io. It goes out like Answer the Public, which it's almost like a mind map. If you're not familiar with Answer the Public, you put in a keyword, and then you've got all these offshoots of the keyword or questions you would ask. Same thing here. The biggest difference would be those questions would be blog articles, but their number one rated blog article out on the web. So you could take those blog articles and you could dig deep into it And then you can summarize the blog articles and other articles similar to it, send it over to your writer, and they can take that information and rewrite it. So you've got original content, and then it's going to score it. It's going to say you need to do these 5 things, and you'll see it go, different colors. Green is, the best, but it's going to give a percentage.
That looks pretty cool. I haven't played with that.
Yeah. I've got an account. Kev, if you need it, I got like 2 million words we can play with.
All right. I got like 1 million ideas, so that'll get us started.
So that's just something. There's all these like Perplexity, Claudes, all these apps that come out there. What's that one that kind of puts it all together? Super Tool, I think it's called.
Superhuman.
Yeah, that bring all the tools together. But there's so many coming out there. But it's like the Amazon at the beginning of Amazon. At the beginning there was just a couple of people in the service industry. Then it became shiny object syndrome, and I was caught up in it. Every time there was something new, it would distract me. That's the same thing with AI. You don't have to be distracted. If something's working for you, it works for you. Don't get distracted. There might be some other things coming down the pipe, but a great idea, and you mentioned it. There's another app you can get. I think it's called Summarize. They might have changed their name, but it takes Perplexity, Claude, Chat, all of them, and summarizes what it would come up with. So you could take a quick look. It's like looking at CNN, Fox, NBC, ABC, MSNBC, and it's at your fingertips.
And there's some other tools, that they're pretty cool too. I don't know if there's an old tool called Sniply, I think it's SINP.ly, where you used to be able to you could link out to an article, or you could create all these SEO pages that would link to some article on another website, but it would pop up an ad from you on that other website. It kind of does it in an iframe, but there's some cool AI tools right now that will do that and it'll follow you around. It almost creates, it's not a cookie, but it creates this, I don't know exactly how it does it, but it follows you around, even to social media, deep links and everything, and it will pop up and it will oh, did you forget to add this to your cart? Or are you sure you don't want to sign up for the newsletter? There's some really cool stuff that's out there around AI. And like you said, the Gold Rush, there's tons of AI tools. You can go to, is there an AI for that? I think is one of the sites. There's a few of these. They're like massive directories. And they you type in what you're looking for. Now here's a list of all these tools. And there's some people that are making bank right now just creating AI chatbots and AI tools. It's some amazing tools that can be used. And some of these are, they're still getting their feet wet and working their way through, but there's some that are sophisticated enough that are really cool.
Well, you were talking about Colin. I just happened to have the book here, this Start, Scale, Exit, Repeat. So he goes in and he breaks each one of these modules. It's kind of like a business reference guide. So starting a business, there's 4 main sections, and it's broken down into multiple different sections. By the time you get through all of this, it is, well, no matter what part of your entrepreneurial journey, you'll be a much better entrepreneur once you get through this. So what he did after your conference, he said, he's going to create a ChatGPT for a workbook. So now he's broken it down into 4 workbooks, and it allows you to go through that full business plan journey. And it's all done on a custom ChatGPT, 4 different ChatGPTs, and it summarizes, it goes through everything, and it just asks you a question. What do you got to do here? There's dependencies. You have to know this before you can go here. And he showed it to me the other day. The workbook is on Amazon if you're interested. This one is strictly for start, but it's something you can use to work your way through this book, and you're going to see a lot more people using it. Another revenue stream, because you go and buy the book, and now you have the custom ChatGPT plus the workbook that you can buy.
Even in his case with that content, if somebody listening has a course or something for your VAs or for your staff, and you want them to pass a test, and they got to go through this training. You can take the transcripts of YouTube videos or Looms or whatever, or your FAQs, dump it all in, and there's AI tools that will create a quiz from that. And it will go in and create a random quiz, so it's not the same answers every time based on that data. And you can make your staff, they got to get a certain score, get 20 questions, you got to get 16 of them right, in order to get a raise. And then every 3 months, they got to do a new quiz to keep them on top of their game that has additional or newest, latest stuff. AI will do that whole thing. You don't got to sit down and rack your brain, reread it. Okay, how do I word a question? It'll do this in 3 minutes, knock the whole thing out, and create a back way to score it, and all kinds of stuff. Another thing with AI is you can do a lot of gamification, which is really cool. And there's a lot of gamification stuff that you can do. So, if you haven't dabbled in AI, I highly encourage you to start messing with it and dive deep. And you can get garbage, but I've noticed that a lot of times the garbage is based on the input. So if you don't give it there's a 7-step process that we'll talk about in another episode to actually good prompting. And there's 7 things you got to do. You got to do that right. If you just type in, rewrite this story for me.
Just kick Dallas in the face, by the way.
Poor Dallas. It's not going to give you the results as if you say, you are an expert, blah, 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 act like this person. Don't take no for an answer. You're very, very specific. It's a much longer prompt. And I want 3 things with bullet points, and I want 2 paragraphs after it that have no more than 50 words in them that are 3 sentences or less. And I want you to give me this and be authentic. Don't change any numbers. Think through it very carefully. That's a phrase that if you should put in almost every prompt, think through it very carefully, because what it'll make it do is it'll make it process and then go back and look at what it processed, and it'll show you on screen how it's rationalizing. And then it'll give you the output, and it actually can create better output. So there's little things like that can make a difference. And so if you get good at that, and it's not hard to do, you can get some amazing results from some of these tools.
And you could also go out and hire somebody now. It ranges in price, but if you don't want to do it, you got to know this stuff. I hate accounting. I had to take a course in accounting so I could start reading financials properly. And you got to take these courses. I like the creative side. So same thing here with AI.
That's AI, you used to think PL was pepperoni lasagna, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Now you're like, oh, pepperoni lasagna.
Isn't it?
Until you took the course, and now you understand.
It's not?
Right.
But, we know some really great AI people, the guys that jumped into it, right? Some women that jumped into it, right away. But one of them that really impressed me, John Benson.
Yeah, that tool is amazing.
Nobody talks about it, which is kind of good, because you can create some really impressive just marketing collateral in general. But he spent time just creating the prompts, like the pre-prompts.
Yeah. So what John Benson did, he's one of the top copywriters. People paying him tens of thousands of dollars to write an ad or write a newsletter, email sequence or whatever. So he took his thought process and he took a lot of the information of all the top other copywriters of the past and present, put it all into a database, had AI learn on it. Then he pre-prompted it, like what Norm says, wrote these, like what I was just talking about, really good prompts that are very specific to marketing and psychology and emotions, versus ChatGPT it can be okay, but it's not geared towards that. It's geared towards more a general use. And so you can get it to do some of that, but you got to really prompt it right. So he's prompted that. And then behind the scenes, they have APIs into all the chatbots. And so they'll go out and get results back. And then, like you said, they have their own version of Summarize or whatever, and will summarize the stuff and spit out a 7-sequence email campaign, or it'll spit out
a landing page
or a website copy or a VSL for a video sales letter. It's got all these different options in it that you can choose. And if you don't like it, you hit a button, but instantly, I've used that for some marketing, and it's created some brilliant. I still tweak it. So it'll write something, and I'll still go back and I'll tweak it. I'll still take what Benson does, and I'll still throw it in Claude, ChatGPT, and OpenAI, just like I talked about. And sometimes I'll even write something, the first draft, and then throw it in and say, hey, make this so much more compelling and put all the objections, and it'll prompt you in some of the areas. So you go through 20 or 30 little questions where they say, what are the objections to the product? What is this? What's the avatar?
So you got to think.
Yeah,
It's not garbage in, garbage out.
You'll grab this information and it'll spit it back out. And it's brilliant. And he told me one of the ways they train it is this is a mistake a lot of people made. He was on a thing a couple of days ago that I was listening to on one of the masterminds I'm in. And he's like, we don't always train it on the mistake a lot of people make is they go find something similar to theirs and then train something. Say, here's three emails from my competition trying to sell their course. Let's say they're selling a course. Read these three emails, look at the structure, and model me an email similar to this for my course. That's kind of the general process. And you say that can help, and you should do that. But he said you should take it a step further and go find other stuff that's working. That's not your business. So maybe you're selling a course on how to do Facebook ads. Go find someone that's selling doing webinars or a course on how to start a car wash business, or I'm just randomly throwing out ideas here. But that you see the data from Facebook and some other tools that this course is crushing it. This guy is like selling washing franchise or courses left and right every time he runs one, and then take that, throw it into Benson and say, now look at the patterns in this and combine it with my rough outline and my data and the three and this guy that's doing car washes. And here's another guy that's selling you on how to do stock market investing or crypto investing that's crushing it with his webinar. Find the trigger points and the patterns in that and apply them to mine. And he said, you can put this thing on steroids and just really blow it up, which I had not been doing. I'd always modeled on someone similar. I was like, that's a really smart idea. And he said, yeah, you can get even better results by doing that kind of stuff. So that's what an AI can do this stuff in minutes that would have taken you have to set aside a week sometimes for a good copywriter to write all this stuff.
Yeah, one of the things that I've talked to a bunch of people, some are marketers, some are not marketers. They go into AI, whatever platform that you're using, they'll see an email sequence or copy for whatever it is. It could be a blog article. And it's like, wow, this is awesome. And then I've seen it and I've gone, well, this might be awesome for somebody who knows nothing about marketing. And that's what you have to be very careful of, because if you just put in something very general, something will be, even if you've tweaked it a little bit, you could still be coming up with crap. It won't sell.
I just did it. My father is in his 80s and he loves to read. He probably reads 3 books a week and has for years. And he's just an avid reader about history and odd subjects and everything. And he loves to teach. He was a teacher originally when he got out of college for a few years, and he loves to teach. So sometimes at the senior center, he'll go and he'll make a presentation on something. Here's the history of Texas, because he loves the history of Texas, or some other, what was it like to be in Vietnam during the war or whatever. So when I went to see him Father's Day a few months ago, he had a couple presentations that he'd been working on, trying to do these in PowerPoint. His design stuff sucked. And in the writing, it looked like a third grader did it. He's just not technically savvy, but he had the basic structure there. I said, Dad, I can take this and I can clean this up and make this look professional. He said, yeah, this is embarrassing to put up on the screen. And so he gave me his original slides and PowerPoint, PPTX files, and I threw them into Beautiful AI and a couple other tools and said, make me, pick some designs and pick some fonts and whatever, and said, make me a presentation out of this. It made a really nice presentation. Still had to go in and tweak it. It combined like 2 of his slides into one and kind of confused one of the boats for another boat. And so we had to do a little bit of cleanup. But overall, it was really good. So I sent that back to him and said, oh, man, you didn't have to put all this work into it. I didn't mean for you to spend hours doing this. No, I spent like 20 minutes. I had to learn the Beautiful AI. It took me longer to put my credit card in and sign up for a $10 subscription than it did to generate this. And so he then went back and cleaned it up a little bit, which he could do, fix a typo or swap the pictures around. But now he's got a really nice presentation that he can go and deliver to the seniors. That's AI doing that. Now there are tools that AI will write the whole presentation. You type in, I got to make a talk on the history of the Civil War, and it needs to be 30 minutes or less, and I need a minimum of 15 slides, and I need this many graphics, and emphasize the Battle of Gettysburg or whatever. It'll make you a presentation. I don't do that kind of stuff. I still write and create the outline and then just have it make it better. It's almost like my editor or my second person. And so I'll do things like that, but I don't let it write the whole thing.
All right. I'll make a confession. I didn't want to do this, but the one lady that I had working with me that was the party girl, her mother died 3 times. Remember that one?
Yeah.
Okay. True. She came up with the excuse before I let her go that her mother had died 3 times. Yeah. So I don't know. I know that's pretty impossible, but she went away. She went out on a party binge. It was Friday, and I thought she was going to be around on the weekend. We made these arrangements to help with this presentation I was doing in this mastermind. So it didn't happen. So I tried her on Friday, didn't get her. Tried her on Saturday, tried her on Sunday. And all of a sudden I was sitting here going, oh, no, I got to do this whole thing myself. So I went in and I typed into ChatGPT. It gave me this outline. I edited the outline, went to Wonderslide, put it into Wonderslide, and it just put out an incredible presentation, which I presented for the first time on this mastermind. It looked like it was fantastic. And it was all done in seconds. Like, it was fantastic.
Do I know that mastermind?
This is I'll just put it this way. It has to do with retail.
Okay. I think
oh, yeah. My God.
Yep. Sometimes it's clear too when AI has done something. So you got to be careful. You don't want to, you want people to think that you're just you don't know the subject, or you just had the AI do it, and you go through it. Make sure you're familiar with the content too. Practice going through the slides so you're not hit with a surprise, especially if you're using some of these tools. But there's some amazing tools. There's tools that in the Amazon space that you and I are heavily involved in, and people are using to analyze all their PPC reports. They're using to write claims. They're using to write their bullet points and help them with all that kind of stuff. These tools are only going to get better. I mean, you got to pick and choose. There's some that are better than others. But I saw now there's even AI. I think TikTok's got it built in with their creators. You can upload a video of a creator, and they got to be doing a few things, and TikTok will take that video and create an AI of that video, and then you can throw in other products or other words in their mouth. It'll move their mouth and stuff just exactly to it. I was just watching yesterday on Netflix. There was a popular show about the boy bands, the Luke Pearlman that started NSYNC and Backstreet Boys and about 20 other boy bands, and is credited with really revolutionizing the music industry back in the 90s and late 90s and 2000s. And it turns out this guy is a massive Ponzi scheme dude and like a master fraud, and ripping people off behind the scenes and just really catching people by surprise. But he had written a book about how to scale your business, or big old thick book. So in the show, they took a video of him sitting at a desk, which was a different interview. They took passages of the book and they had him mouth the passages of the book. And so it looked like he was really saying the stuff in his voice. So they had AI sampled his voice. AI took out the text of the book. So he's reading a couple sentences. And then they put a disclaimer down at the bottom. This is a simulation, or this is AI generated. This is his real words from his book, but he's not actually saying this in this video. But it looked freaking real. And you can do that now with TikTok, where you do something similar, where you take the creator and they can create all these AI videos of them saying other things, and you can test. If they do this close or they do this close, if they start with, "Hey everybody, how you doing?" or if they start with, "Yo, what's up?" You can test the different openings to see which one has a better hook, and just all kinds of stuff. And then the tool will zero in on like, here's 1,000 different tests. Oh, the best opening is this. The best closing is this. The best price is this. We'll change their mouth and their words to say all this, and let's run the ad. We'll run this ad and crush it. I mean, you can do all kinds of cool stuff like that. I mean, the list just goes on and on and on.
Just think how much fraud will be going on. Just imagine.
It happened at the shooting of Trump back in July. When that happened, they didn't know who the shooter was, and so I think they announced it at like 3:00 in the morning one morning. They kind of put it out there. Here's the guy's names. Within a couple hours, there were videos on TikTok of this guy. Someone had found some other video he'd done on Facebook of this guy doing his manifesto. His final
that's right.
thing.
That's right.
And they were, him. In reality, he did not, but someone created that and actually put that out. And there's no disclaimer or anything.
Right.
And I know Google and Yama and some of the others are putting like the watermarks created by AI on a lot of stuff now. But there's a lot of stuff that doesn't have it. And there's tools that basically are misfits and say the heck with the system and the censorship. We're going to do whatever.
Yeah. So let's just go back to the TikTok for a second. I think that we should give our listeners, or if you're watching on YouTube, we should upload our TikTok dance that we did back at the White Label Expo many years back. Do you remember that?
We did a TikTok dance?
We did. Did
we actually do a TikTok dance?
We did. It wasn't like all planned out. We were just kind of wiggling and jiggling.
You weren't even drunk because you don't drink.
It was right in the White Label Expo. It was right in there. We just did something.
Oh yeah, I think I remember what you're talking about.
Yeah, we'll post that. Yeah.
That was like, what was that? Like 2019, 2020, somewhere
something
around
like
before
that.
COVID. Before COVID, I think.
Yeah, before COVID.
Oh, that's the time when we headed over to Caesar's Cigar Lounge because we're like, okay, this show is like nothing but CBD dealers. Let's head over to smoke a cigar in Caesar's Lounge. I think that's the one, right?
That was your memory is very
whiskey.
good.
I remember the important part, or the whiskey and the little smoke glass and smoking inside. That was cool. I ended up buying one of those little whiskey.
So see, even that, just thinking outside of the box. And that was the first time I've ever seen that. I don't know. I don't go into a lot of bars, but just seeing the overall experience, I would have paid a lot more just to see the experience of that bartender smoking up the glass. Now it's more common, but back then, it was the first time I ever saw it.
It's the first time I'd seen it too.
Yeah.
Yeah, actually, I ended up buying one of those things and I have it in the house, and I don't think I've ever used it actually.
Maybe you can do that with my Coke Zeros the next time I come over.
Yeah, that would be cool. The carbonation coming over.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, that actually would be cool.
Oh, by the way, I have to tell you this. So I think people have heard the story about me eating Kevin's dog's ice cream. Like, who buys their dog ice cream, right? It was ice cream. I ate it, and
it's ice cream for dogs. It's actually made for dogs.
Right, like it was like purified or pureed meat. That's what it was. And I threw it out. I buried it because I was embarrassed. But
like a dog. You bury it like a dog.
So we have a pet chain up here, and Dallas had his birthday a little while back, and they sent over a bag of sweet potato biscuits, a whole bag, and this banana yogurt. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
For dogs. And it reminded me because it was in these little cups. And I thought I should have given Kevin this when he was here to get back.
Yogurt?
It's frozen yogurt for
really
dogs.
Good. It's really good.
Yeah,
that was hilarious when you did that.
Oh my God. All right. Well, it looks like we're getting to the top of the hour, Kev.
Yeah, we gotta go save our energy for next week because we'll be back again next week with another podcast. You never know if it'll just be us. A lot of times we bring on really interesting guests. Actually, most of the time it's interesting guests, but we like to mix it up a little. If you haven't checked it out, make sure you go to Marketing Misfits on YouTube. check out our channel there. You can go to marketingmisfits.co. It's not .co, right? Not .com.
It's just to make sure everybody gets this right. Marketingmisfits.co, not .com.
Yeah, and you can read about us there. You can find links to the audio podcast if you want to check that, or the YouTube if you're vice versa. If you're listening to this on audio, be sure to subscribe to the channel so you get notified every Tuesday when a new podcast comes out, and you don't miss anything that we do. Like sometimes we do special webinars or those special bonus training things. You don't miss any of that kind of stuff. And give us a like or a thumbs up or even a comment if you want to.
A review.
We like good ones. We like bad ones. We like ones with pictures. So whatever you want to do, that would be awesome. It helps us grow this podcast. And we're just getting it started. It's only a few months old now, so it's just starting to get its legs. And hopefully, a year from now, you can say I was there in the beginning, and I've seen this thing grow. And now they're crushing Joe Rogan. Joe Rogan. And you'll see it in the news that Marketing Misfits $400 million contract with Apple Prime or Video or something like that. And you'll see us on there, and you're like, I knew these guys win.
We don't think
your comment will be there. So that's if you help us out, you can share in some of the reward.
See, and you could tell what episode it is by the length of my beard.
That's right.
There we go. Right. Not going to cut it. It's going to let it grow. All right. And don't forget to ring that bell.
That's right. Ding, 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 ding.
All right. We'll see you later, guys.
See ya.